Hey everybody, I'm John Bilfus, Executive Chef of Lula's Louisiana Cookhouse in beautiful Owasso, Michigan. And today I've got a great recipe for you. When I was a kid, if you went to a very fancy restaurant, which we didn't much because we didn't have that kind of money, there might be this soup on the menu called vichyssoise. And if there was, you knew you were at a swanky place. So when I started cooking as a young man, vichyssoise was one of the very first things I wanted to have on the menu at home so I could impress my friends. This is that recipe that I worked on over the years, and I sure hope you enjoy it. Here's everything you're going to need to make this fantastic classic soup vichyssoise. 8 leeks sliced very thinly. After I slice them, I put them in a bowl of water and swish that around just to make sure that I get any sand that could be caught between those layers out. I use all of the whites and just a little bit of the green of that leek, because I like a little bit of color in my vichyssoise. 4 cups of chicken stock. Now today I'm using vegetable stock because my daughter's a vegetarian. 2 cups of heavy cream, 2 medium potatoes diced, some salt, white pepper, a little bit of nutmeg, and 6 tablespoons of unsalted butter. When my niece Lauren lived with us, maybe 10 years ago, 12 years ago, something like that, I used to make this all the time, and it was her favorite. So Lauren, if you're watching, this one's for you, hon. First thing I'm going to do is just melt this butter over medium heat. And once that butter is melted, I'm going to go ahead and add my leeks. Give those a good stir. Get them with a little salt to help them sweat. Now I want to get these leeks just soft. I don't want any color on them, no brown. So we're going to cook them here for about 5 to 8 minutes. And that's been about 5 minutes. And these leeks are looking nice and soft. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to throw in my potatoes. We're just going to let these cook for about another minute. And that's been about a minute, so I'm going to go ahead and add my stock. Now we're going to bring this up to a boil. And now that that's come up to the boil, I'm going to turn it down to low and let it simmer for about a half hour. So now after a half hour, we're going to take it off the burner, set it aside, and let it cool. Once this is cooled a little, we're going to put it in a blender and totally puree it. And while that's pureeing, just take a minute and clean out your pot. You may have to do this in batches depending on your blender. And we're just going to pour this back into our pot for our next steps. So now we're going to return the pot to the stove, put the heat on medium. We're going to add our cream, a little bit of salt, a little bit of white pepper, just a pinch of nutmeg. We're going to bring this back to a boil. We're going to check our seasoning later. If you're going to serve this cold, you want to make sure that you season it very heavily, because when a food is cold, it takes a lot more seasoning. As you're bringing this back up to the boil, you want to make sure to keep stirring it, because now it's a thicker soup. You don't want it to burn on the bottom. And once this comes up to the boil, you just want to give it a good stir, turn it down to low, and simmer it for about 5 minutes. And after 5 minutes, we're going to turn the burner off, let it cool, and when it cools, then we will re-season it.
And there's a lovely cup of vichyssoise, served chilled in a champagne glass. Don't forget, you can also serve this warm.
Well, there you go. Another extremely exciting episode of Scratch Cook with John. Hit that little subscribe button down in the lower right-hand corner of your screen on YouTube if you would for me. I sure would appreciate it. We'll be back with a lot more recipes from around the world. Enjoy this one, and we'll see you again soon.